There was a rock and roll revival in the 70s. Darts, Alvin Stardust, and Mud got a Christmas #1 with Lonely This Christmas. And then in 1976, the Teddy Boys from Showaddywaddy tried to follow suit.
Top of the Pops proudly presents the hit sound of Showaddywaddy! I love you like I do.
I loved Showaddywaddy.
I do.
The lead singer, I was quite taken with him. He had sort of big, bee-sting lips, didn't he? And he had quite floppy hair.
Like I do.
And he was slightly sexy. I couldn't say he was very sexy, but he awakened something in me at a young age.
And the drummer, the black guy, the drummer was called Romeo Challenger, which is such a great name.
I used to get teased a lot, you know. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, and all that. You know, I mean, you can imagine what it's like in kids in the playground and all that. And I just got used to people, you know, reacting strangely to my name.
And before Showaddywaddy, he'd been in a Satanist group called Black Widow, whose hit was Come to the Sabbath. Oh, you'd be surprised at all the bollocks I know.
I really remember the sort of teddy boy clothes, but really ridiculously tight trousers on the lead singer, just completely, really unhealthily tight.
The 70s were a bad time generally for the gentleman's area. Nothing was left to the imagination, and you could, you know, you only had to let the eye slip like that, and you'd see all the gentleman's knickknacks in pretty much all their glory, like a mould.
I think Dave Lee Travis once referred to us as an explosion in a paint factory, which I suppose aptly summed it up.
They had a huge hit with Under the Moon of Love, which everyone used to love, because it started out with a
That song, I think everybody's ears pricked up. It just felt right.
Let's go for a little walk under the moon of love. Let's sit down.
Under the Moon of Love looked all set to be the Christmas #1 for Showaddywaddy.
And we were fortunate enough to be at #1 for a month, so it had plenty of time to sink in. And it's an incredible feeling to be sat there at the top of the tree.
See, when we were #1 right up until the week before Christmas.
So it's welcome to the Christmas Top of the Pops.
The biggest thing at Christmas was sitting waiting for the Christmas #1 on Top of the Pops to see who it would be.
And then, of course, it'd be the Christmas #1. Who was going to be the Christmas #1?
If it hadn't been for Johnny Mathis, this would still be at #1. It's a great record. Under the Moon of Love from, of course, Showaddywaddy. Let's sit right down and talk.
When A Child Was Born was released, you know, I think that was released later than our record, but it sold so quickly that it just pipped us to #1, you know.
And we were somewhat aggrieved that Johnny Mathis took the #1 slot that year, basically because we thought the record was awful.
A ray of hope.
A ray of hope flickers in the sky. A tiny star lights up way up high.
When a child is born. That's what he sang like, wasn't it?
When a child is born.
You've got to expect records like that to come out at Christmas.
He played the Jesus card at Christmas time, you know, He'd done the right thing, really.
All across the land dawns a brand new morn.
And Under the Moon of Love wasn't about Jesus. It was about being under a moon, the moon of love.
Under the moon of love.
Traditionally, Jesus is going to win every time, isn't he?
This comes to pass when a child is born.
I can dig that sentiment, but, you know, we weren't too cool about it when we heard it, you know, and thinking, hey, they're number one and we're not, you know.
The Showaddywaddy were kept off. They must have been really knocked. And they looked like they could handle themselves. If I'd have been Johnny Mathis, I'd have been quite worried, because they looked like they'd been around the ring a few times, didn't they, Showaddywaddy?
I mean, I'd take my hat off to him for having a number one so late in his career, but certainly there were no thoughts of going round to his house and knocking on his door and popping in one on the hooter.
This comes to pass when a child is born.